All right.
What's going on, Pat?
It should be live on Facebook in a minute.
Nice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is Monday morning, and you know what that means. It's Pat Hilton and Zach Hoffman live.
What's up? What's up?
Getting
Happy
it done.
Monday, Pat.
Happy Monday. It is time to get into it. It is the Firm Report.
Yep. How are you doing today?
Dude, great. Like you said, you were like, man, you look like you ran a marathon. Yep. Marathon weekend this weekend. Got back late last night, and here we are live on the Hopper. And we were talking about this at the conference over the weekend, the AI for Business conference, that if you're not using these tools, you're not getting in front of your people, you're not closing any deals. And we saw that with the video example you showed me this morning of our friend, Mr. Morgan.
Which one is that? Him being interviewed as to how you made your money?
Yep, I thought that was a great clip.
Segment.
Great clip.
Yeah. It's interesting to see for the people Morgan & Morgan essentially over-investing in anything digital. And even over-investing is probably still cheaper than anything they're buying traditionally. So
totally,
it's probably a hot deal for them. I think that video already has like a few 100,000 views.
And that's YouTube. That's YouTube. I bet you that guy's Instagram page with whatever the 1 minute clip is of John Morgan is probably already over 1 million.
Really?
Oh, probably. That guy's got a huge audience, but I mean, that's the game.
And for all you out there thinking John Morgan's giving you free information, he says in that video, he goes, you're either the lion or you're born the sloth. And he goes, I'm the lion, taking everybody's market share.
He was so great.
So for all you thinking he's giving you this $1 billion blueprint, I assure you he knows you ain't going to execute, or that's his big bet, right? So he's definitely out there, basically taunting everybody that he's the lion in the market. And he sure is the lion in the market.
I love it. I love that, dude. I love what they do over there. It's a great example. Well, let's jump into the topics. Zach's got some hot topics. I'm going to hit some music and let Zach take it away and bring you all into it.
Yeah, so for the Firm Report today, this Monday, we have newsjacking for lawyers, YouTube news cycle for law firms, the lawyer GPT, how you can get new clients from GPT, social content for the law firm, and then when it comes to law firm M&A, I'm not buying it, but law firm M&A and branding, how that plays out, and essentially where you should be betting your dollars or what you should be doing to grow the firm.
I love that. And let's jump into, I always want the last one first, but let's go in order. Let's jump into the first one, see what we got here.
Yeah, so when we're looking at newsjacking for lawyers, there's always a plethora of local news of things that happen in the marketplace, whether it be an accident or a major injury or something that happened on a local premise. There's always coverage to be had outside of that 30-minute local news segment that law firms can be jumping on and essentially getting the content from either a first responder's social media handle. They're always broadcasting what they're actually responding to. And if you even look at the local news broadcast thinking that they have a leg up on you, they're taking videos and photos anyways and rebroadcasting them. All they're doing is saying courtesy of, essentially once that content hits the sphere, it's public content anyhow. So that's free grabs right there. So let's stop reacting to videos from 3 years ago and start reacting to videos of today and what's happening in your marketplace this week. Because that's going to speak to that up and coming, major accident, major victim that you could be seeing as a client, because their loved ones are out there on social media, on YouTube, searching for related content. If they're finding your firm, you're going to be, top of mind.
That's so true. And just as the social media platforms continue to advance, those algorithms, they want you to stay in the app. And so what you said about how if you're out there, they're going to recommend you. If you're watching one thing that's related to law firms, or you're watching something that's related to personal injury, it's going to start showing you more of that because they want to keep you on the app. So
for sure. I mean, the advances that you're seeing at TikTok in particular, from the ability to crawl and index the voice, what the voices are saying, what's happening within the videos, you better believe Google's not far behind from that indexing capability with all their YouTube technology. People forget that Google owns YouTube, so they are indexing all of that information and making related searches and basically making related shorts that are all building up that algorithm data based on what you're saying or what they're essentially seeing through those video formats.
Absolutely. And if you search on some of these social media sites for lawyers or personal injury or whatever, well, one of the first things that shows up is your Instagram page or your YouTube channel, because again,
sure.
Google wants to keep you on that platform. They want you clicking into YouTube and watching all the videos. So if you're the person that ranks, you're the person that gets the click.
And right now we're in such a heated news cycle, being, June 23rd, not talking about like the particular events that are happening, but the fact is people are out there searching for content at a rapid clip. Your local 30-minute segments can't keep up with that. So people are getting more used to going to social media or even going to YouTube to find their news content. Ask your friends, ask your parents, like, where are they finding their news content? I was speaking to my dad this weekend. Where are you finding content related to what's going on? He said, I am skipping from YouTube video to YouTube video, watching what's going on. And if you look at all the YouTube content being published on the international and national scale right now, it's getting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. And, the local market, news broadcasters and whatnot, like, they're not keeping up.
No.
So if you were to search like your local market and you put like injury New Orleans, car accident New Orleans, or car accident Manhattan, or you even take like a sub market, you go car accident El Paso, major injuries on the I-10, you're going to see a total lack of content. You might not see content that's been published for essentially like weeks, months, and even years in some case. So you start to produce that fresh content, become the source, all of a sudden you're going to see yourself indexing very high. Google said that YouTube is one of their number one search products, and I don't think that's a joke going here, into the future. Like, that's real data, that's real information. So get current with your content.
I love that. And the other thing about that is the more you post and the more consistent that you get, the easier it gets for you to come up with real-time updates. And I talked about this in my book. There's a viral window of when a topic happens, something happens. Some guy got injured in a basketball game last night. He's injured. That was all over the news feed. It's a Halliburton or basketball player. Everybody likes the guy injured. It's really sad to see. Everyone was talking about that in real time. The problem with the news shows with traditional media is it's scheduled at whatever time. Well, this already happened right now. That show doesn't air till 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. If you're CNN or Fox or NBC or Dateline or whatever, we already got the news 5 hours ago from X. So I don't even need to turn on those.
I mean, essentially, Stephen A. Smith has like leveraged his pedestal on ESPN to be one of the largest sports broadcasters out there in today's history. So he can go out there on his own and independent and still have probably essentially more reach than, almost like ESPN or ABC can have in a lot of ways. And they were the ones that, set him forward. So, he is essentially out there, publishing his own content, getting his own, opinions out there and really like building it up. So
he's a good example of someone that went from the traditional, because he's been in the game a long time and he is really good. And to be that consistent.
Look at how successful Tucker Carlson still is. I mean, Tucker hasn't been on the air in how long? He hasn't had major syndication. I mean, he has major syndication on X. He's also getting some of the biggest interviews of our time as we speak right now. And he's a couple of years off of Fox News. So Tucker Carlson is still huge. And there's no reason a particular lawyer can't get current in their marketplace and be the 100%. Source of news information when it comes to injuries and accidents and essentially get cases as a result of being that persona.
Absolutely. And of shows like Tucker Carlson or shows like Stephen A. Smith's a little more sports, Tucker Carlson a little more business, professional, political. But I think that there's opportunities for lawyers to get featured, even in just some kind of a segue segment, having conversations with these people, and then they can leverage that type of content. And it might not be Tucker or Stephen A. Smith, but who are the people in your category that have podcasts, that are doing interviews? That's what John Morgan did. He found that guy who's viral. He walks around with his phone and he interviews people that have made money. And he was like, hey, come to my house.
Yeah, no, they invited him in. I mean, look, it was produced as well done. And he's built up the media rungs to be there. And essentially, look, if you start to build up on social media and major outlets start to see you, like, they'll want to bring your persona on so that they can get the viewers and, see other people out there. There's a lot of, I would say, influence being born off of social media as a whole. So, pick your channel and go, but be intentional about your content. Don't just produce content to produce content. It's not necessarily the right way. I mean, that's how everybody gets started, but as you start, fine tuning and sharpening your axe, like start to get real intentional about the content and take it to a whole new level to create competitive moats against your competition.
Well, and even with the way that we do this, you've done a really great job of taking my skill set and saying, "Hey, here's how we're going to format this," and it's made me better. Let's hop into the next one. What do we got on the next one?
So essentially that news cycle, I mean, we talked about newsjacking for lawyers. That was where it started. And essentially we got into the YouTube news cycle. Like I said, I believe that everybody's being retrained right now on the news cycle. I mean, look, the biggest news in the Middle East right now is coming out the biggest things happen at like 11 p.m. to like 3 a.m. their time, which is like completely off on our time and not sunk with our like news schedules.
Right.
So in order to be getting that content and information, you need to be going to X, you need to be going to YouTube, you need to be going, you're all over the phone. You're not necessarily waiting for that 30-minute segment at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. if you really, are paying attention to what's going on out there. So like I said, when it comes to a major accident or an injury in your town, there's never going to be a convenient time for somebody to go seeking that news and content. They're going to be on their phones seeking and looking for the information. You got to sync yourself to be that relevant source. So, position yourself as the news source in your market and see what follows, because there's a lot of markets out there throughout the country that don't even have enough populace to justify covering the news, unfortunately, in some of their marketplaces.
Yeah, and I also think that just people just aren't tuning into the news anymore like they did. I don't know if it's because of social media or if it's because of the way the cycles have played over the last decade or whatever, but people just, they don't trust it. They don't want to watch it. They don't want to hear it. It doesn't feel genuine to them. And this does. You get a video of a guy in the stands or a video of the guy on the street interviewing somebody about how they made their money as a lawyer. That's more attractive to the generation that uses these tools. They didn't grow up on the news.
Yeah, they have endless options when it comes to content these days,
Right.
and they're being fed the content that they want to see and hear. And, go have you, like I would say the icons of our time, the Zuckerbergs of our world. And Zuckerberg was actually, I want to say he was ranked top 25 CEOs by Barron's for this year. And it's because I would say of his like ballsy investments into AI and what he's doing. He is like investing so heavily because he has this justified fear of not wanting to fall behind. He's not one of those being like, oh, well, AI is happening. Meta's just going to sit it out and Facebook's going to just watch it happen. Not happening. ABC, NBC, and Fox, CBS, they're probably going to watch it happen. They've been watching a lot of stuff happen for the past few decades. So to continue to like burn your money and resources into these nonprofits for whatever reason, you're going to see like, I'd say just like a dwindling of power by these like mega media warehouses, because these mega media warehouses of the past are not the mega media warehouses of our time. I mean, just look at X in particular, Elon Musk with, essentially Twitter. He made that into, he's the wealthiest, top 10 wealthiest people in the world right now. He controls the largest media outlet via X, and then you look at Zuckerberg, once again, top 10 wealthiest people in the world. What does he control? Facebook and Meta, so their influence is definitely guided through what you're seeing when it comes to media and media of today.
And I've been saying this for a while too, and fortunately I'm surrounded by people like yourself who see that vision, is the era of the social CEO, where you're available. Like, people are talking about CEOs and entrepreneurs like they've never done before, and everybody's out in the open, and people can like an Elon or not like him, or not like a Zuckerberg or like him, or a Dana White or a John Morgan or what,
Or
who
Jeff
all these
Bezos.
people now. Yeah, Bezos. You're talking about these people now, where in the past nobody cared who the CEO of the toothpaste company or the print company or this or that was. I just want my Xerox.
But like when we talk about law firm CEOs and just like the mecca CEOs these days, I don't think there's any lawyer out there positioning himself like John Morgan is throughout the country.
No way.
And that's other lawyers just giving him carte blanche to do what he's doing. I mean, Morgan & Morgan is dominating the airwaves. on a national basis and even some local markets where some guy will be like, I'm the leader in my market, then why is John Morgan holding a freaking light to you in your leadership of your market?
Right.
Yeah, there's only a few players that actually have like combatively like controlled their market. And that's through a mixed media approach, not just dominating one media funnel, because people are everywhere and people are listening, people are watching, people are driving. Yeah, there's a lot of things that they look and see. I'm in South Florida, which is one of the most major markets in the country. And if you look around, like you see Morgan and Morgan on billboards, you hear him on the radio, you hear him on
Like I
TV.
told you, I
Like,
saw him in Scottsdale when I was in an Uber on the highway.
oh yeah, and then you see them all over social media. But then there's a few other players that think they're dominating the market, but they're just like they're literally like they're they're
It's
on a
not the
peg leg, like,
same.
popping along on the radio or something. It's like,
Right.
come on, guys, like get with the times. Let's go to 360 approach. Let's really like kick up the notch and be dominating.
Well, and that's something coming from St. Louis. A lot of people, they love those morning shows in St. Louis, and I enjoy the format too. But
Yeah.
I think that entire system of communication is going to dwindle away because most of the people who even consume those shows probably watch on YouTube or on some kind of mobile device. It's not even the radio, really, the radio anymore. It's
I mean, look,
digital. It's all gone digital.
it still has its reach, but to keep claiming your audience is growing because the population is growing doesn't make, it doesn't really check back. It's like even the jockeys have just as big a following sometimes on social media as the
Right.
stations themselves and have just as much influence. So if you are buying traditional media, you should be like, essentially trying to borrow, I would say, the personas that they have on air to like really, amplify your marketing and your positioning go forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What do we got on the next one? What's the next bullet
So,
point?
going forward with Lawyer GPT, so getting ranked on GPT, this syncs up with an effective search engine optimization campaign and SEO campaign. So if you've been like checking a lot of bases and like consistent with SEO, rewriting your content, going to evergreen content, writing more frequently asked questions, then you're going to be covered on GPT as we continue to evolve. But I think as GPT continues to get more well funded and goes consumer based and consumer forward, they're going to get really rich with lots of assets of content. They're going to be interpreting, if not already, all of the videos, all the social pieces that you're producing out there. GPT is looking at it, they're feeling it, and they're bringing it into their index. Even Google is definitely, taking a lot of strides in AI, and their AI approach is changing almost minute to minute as to how they're bringing results forward to users. So continue to keep a like effective SEO campaign that's modern with the times, and you'll be tackling GPT and AI simultaneously.
Yeah, and what we're noticing too, even with social searches especially, is a lot more people are finding their news and everything on social. They're searching TikTok, they're searching YouTube. And we mentioned this a little bit before, but that percentage keeps going up by the people that are measuring it. And I mean, Google and all these places are where people find information. They find out about your business. They find where they want to go to dinner. What splash pad is open? It's hot in Texas or Florida. We want to go play in the water park today. They're going straight to
Definitely,
the
yeah.
phone.
In South Florida, my pool is open.
Right.
Pool is open all day.
Absolutely. It has to be.
So, yeah, it's definitely, it's a bit warm out there for sure across the country.
Oh man.
Yeah, so just like I said, for GPT, definitely, when you're looking at AI, keep consistent with SEO strategies that are modern to today's time. You'll see the impact. It's not guesswork at this stage.
Dude, and there's so many cool tools, Perplexity, Claude, ChatGPT, all these places that can pick you up where people are searching, and that might be a more advanced person that comes right to your website through those portals. So make yourself
And we're going to
available.
continue. We're going to continue to see, like, I would say, like more reach into like different AI platforms. But if you just focus on Google as well as GPT, like
Right.
what they're doing from an AI perspective, you'll have all your bases covered. I mean, there's still AI is such a loaded field. I mean, yes, like I said, the way people are searching and the consumer like reach is hitting AI in a lot of ways, but AI is also being utilized to innovate how people work and just AI is becoming the blueprint and DNA of how people move forward in life today. I don't think there's
We're
anything,
building so much cool
guesswork behind
stuff.
that.
Even for the show, we're building cool stuff for people to be able to get in touch. And so we'll be able to have a lot more clickables as you guys continue to tune in, especially on Mondays.
Nice. So, to keep going forward, back to the topic, social content for lawyers. When you're looking at like content for your marketplace, be authentic who you are. Also, the content matters, and get intentional with the content. Talk about your local market. Don't talk about other people's market. Nobody really cares about what's going on in a specific market. Like if you're from Atlanta, don't talk about South Florida. If you're from Atlanta, talk about what's happening in Atlanta and Georgia in particular. Don't step on other people's turf. They don't appreciate it, and your target consumer doesn't want to hear it. Yeah, reality is people want to hear what's going on in their specific market. Like you better believe if you live in Oklahoma City today, people are talking about, the big victory for their NBA finals. If you're in South Florida, we're talking about the Stanley Cup because that's where we
Right.
won it. So, there's a lot of like news content, but they're not, if you're a local guy trying to make an impression in Texas and people know you for being from Texas, don't talk about South Florida and the Panthers because
Right.
people in Texas,
No.
they don't want to hear it, nor does your audience in general, man. They want to know like you're through and through and true to your identity, true to your local marketplace. So just be authentic about your content and just really, let the authenticity shine through and really, empower the marketplace so that people believe that you're the source when it comes to your specific city.
Yeah, that's really important. And you guys dog on me for saying the real estate stuff because I go out on these real estate tangents, but that's the first thing they teach you is buy in your backyard. Like you don't want to be all over the place making offers. You need to learn, meet the people around your community, meet the lenders, meet the this, meet the that. Focus on your first backyard. If you're a band or a musician, they tell you the same thing. Grow your audience locally before you start driving around and playing for nobody and going broke. Like these are common sense things. There's people in your backyard that want to do business with you that you can grow your client base with. Focus on them first. Get a meeting with them. Schedule a live, schedule a podcast, schedule a recording session. Like that guy that interviewed Morgan, he's everywhere, just talking to people with a microphone into his phone. It's beautiful.
But Morgan's shooting nationwide. I mean, that's the beauty of what he's doing. But the thing is even if he was only still shooting for Orlando or just Central Florida is a massive market.
Right.
And from like the amount of like cost that it takes to like spend in the local media there, you may as well go national with some of your messaging because it's going to be just as expensive as trying to tackle Orlando and Tampa, which are those Central Florida markets. And if he goes national, I mean, he reaches nationally everybody. And, the way YouTube has the reach and the influencers out there, there's a lot of influence to be had for, effective CPM rates.
It's
That's what people
100%.
forget sometimes with like marketing and advertising. Like it does all truly like market back to like a CPM, like what what you're essentially paying to have those impressions in front of the audience.
Correct. And that's the whole game. And then how do you scale that and how do you create conversions? And I think a lot of people, maybe even firms that would see this and hear us for the first time, they might not even be using social media or ads at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
They might
No,
not even
they're
be
not.
doing it at all.
Some firms aren't, some firms are just coming into their, first settlements. It could take them, months, if not years to come into a major settlement. And it's really critical as to like what you do with that, asset that you just acquired to make those next best bets to grow the firm the most effective ways and start to scale. Have a grand vision and have a plan, but definitely start to seed, those assets in the right places to keep growing. We have clients that ask us or say like, oh, I want to keep doubling, triple down on this, and this. It's like, dude, if you came to me today, like I would tell you that aspect's weak. Like you need to start building up this. Like, yeah, we'll, invest more money in your search ads, but you should be considering building up better social content or having more reach on Facebook or, specific markets where you might be short because you're only siloed into Instagram. There's a whole audience on TikTok too. So the audience is, that's the challenge with digital right now. Just as like traditional media, you might think they're everywhere. They're also everywhere when it comes to a digital footprint.
Right. And each platform has a different type of engaged person. Like the TikTok audience is generally a lot younger. The LinkedIn audience is generally employed people or people looking for employment. You know what I mean?
it's looking for employment.
Yeah, a lot of
LinkedIn's
people
like the
looking
last
for
place I
employment.
go to generate. You know, it's like, yeah, I hear people do get business there, but like you got time to be going. If you're well employed and making money and you're on LinkedIn looking for information, like, all right, to
Yeah.
each his own.
I kind of
You
I
know,
kind of automate that platform inside my process, but
hey man, if I'm well fed, I'm enjoying my time on Instagram and it's super
exactly,
fun.
exactly. I think that the meta universe has been good to us personally.
Yeah, the meta universe is great. The TikTok universe is interesting too. You know, there's a lot of,
They're fun.
casual
They like
content
to
on
have a
there,
good
but
time over there, no doubt.
on the TikTok, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely true.
It's so pick and choose too. Like one thing you can get away with. The next day, they're giving you a community guideline strike for the same thing. It's like, oh, okay. All right. Awesome. What else we got on the hopper to close it out today?
Yeah, so there's a lot of talk of like law firm M&A and like acquisitions, and what I would say is it comes down to branding, right? So I'm not necessarily buying it. I'm not a buyer of it. Like, there's going to be PE firms that come and whoop your ass when it comes to like acquiring firms or like acquiring these things. I would stick to building your brand, and if your brand is strong enough, there should be lawyers and associates that want to join your brand. Don't be trying to like give them a big lump sum payout for their firm when your firm has the brand equity. I assure you, there's almost somebody knocking at John Morgan's door on a daily basis, if not multiple people saying, "Hey, can I jump on the bandwagon and get some cases?" So, yeah, this whole like M&A aspect where, you might see like private equity dollars kind of like floating from different verticals to different like industries. When they come into law firms, they're going to buy the big powerhouses. They probably already have their hands in, Mr. Morgan's
Yeah.
pocket in a lot of ways. Yeah, so it's like stick to your guns, stick to your game plan, and find ways to like recruit associates and lawyers to your firm so that they're making the ask to want to join to get those cases that you're bringing in.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Is just specific information for your specific client, and we even discussed that about editing. We want to make sure that we're posing the right questions and showing people the right answers to everything that they need as firms and lawyers to get confident, get on camera, and get more clients.
Oh, for sure. But the one thing that I'd say is like a lot of branding and like, God bless like, Johnny Cochran or somebody that, had like huge iconic presence when it comes to like branding. The brand just isn't what it was. Like the name is still there and the name still has equity, but it just doesn't have it as much because he's not out there in the media. He just can't be. And he's not, forefront as much as like a John Morgan is in today's marketplace. So it's like really if you're like trying to acquire, I would say other attorneys and associates, like focus on building your brand as the brand that they want to be, partners with or be, a part of. You would see, there's a lot of people that continue to be associates of particular firms because they know that firm brings them the cases and that firm keeps them fed. So I don't think there's necessarily, when you're looking at great dollars, like I wouldn't necessarily take those great dollars and be like, what firm should I be acquiring? I'd be looking at like, what presence can I create that they come knocking on my door or want to be an associate at our firm and grow?
Well, yeah, and maybe there's an equity play there. If you can bring somebody business, they're never going to say no to that. So
No,
like you
for sure.
said, if you
That's
brand
that's the
yourself
way the game
well,
works.
you build a big case file and you build a big portfolio and you want to bring
Yeah.
that in and you want to bring something to the table, now you've got some leverage. But without
Yeah, I
that,
mean, yeah, you build a big docket, they'll follow. It's essentially, I mean, we do a lot of branding and marketing for firms, but as soon as the dollars dry up, essentially so does the branding go. It's not necessarily free to build a brand or continue to produce content and buy advertising. You have to buy it. So,
right.
you got to be out there, you got to be present, and you got to be dominant.
I love that, dude. Anything else on the hopper this week,
That's
Zach?
all we got today.
That's all we got.
That's all we got for the firm report, man.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got lots of work to do, but if you'd like to get in touch with Zach and Exults, make sure to hit the button, give him a follow, send him a message. Anything
For
I can
sure.
help you guys with, directing you in the right way to get your content up like Zach does for all these incredible law firms, let us know. We'll help you out, and we'll see
Any
you.
questions, you got to reach out.
Yeah, and we'll see you on the next one. Drop questions in the comments if you need them answered. We'll see you soon.
Have an awesome week.